All right, this Pride Month, we're celebrating the people and places that make us proud to live here in Columbus. Places like Summit Station, Ohio's longest running lesbian bar.
So this was the third location created for the LGBTQ+ community to get a historical marker in Ohio. 10 TV's Doug Petcash spoke with a former patron who is making sure the story of Summit Station is never forgotten.
The documentary Free Beer Tomorrow isn't really about beer.
So many people talk about the magic they experienced here, and they don't talk about what they drank. They don't talk about beer because it wasn't about the beer.
It's about Summit Station, Ohio's longest running lesbian bar, a place in Columbus where women could go and really feel safe.
The homophobia was so thick on the outside world that stepping through that door was almost magical.
Summit Station was like a second home to Julia Applegate. She's part of a group that got a historical marker placed there last year. Then Julia and another patron named Luster Singleton realized the bar had a story to tell.
It was just clear that this bar was so important to so many people that the bar itself really almost had a life of its own, and it's a story that we felt needed to be told.
Julia and Luster have interviewed dozens of women for their documentary. They all say Summit Station was like home and they were like a family. Behind the bar, owner Petey Brown served up more than beer. She poured out compassion to her patrons, and in turn, they filled up each other's cups, especially in times of need.
There's a big history of philanthropy inside this space. They would hold fundraisers for each other, especially in the queer community, because we couldn't gather in large spaces without fear of violence or bullying.
The patrons didn't only give back to each other, they also gave back to their community. They raised money for children impacted by HIV, women in recovery, and survivors of domestic violence.
So many seeds were planted for things that many people would take for granted here in Columbus, Ohio.
After nearly 40 years, Summit Station closed its doors in 2008. Julia hopes the documentary will make patrons feel like they've stepped back in time to a place where the love and support for one another flowed as endlessly as the beer on tap.
My goal is that they watch this film and they say, yeah, that's it. That's what it was like.
Doug Petcash, 10 TV News.